o'clock. Now, let's go to CBS.
This is the CBS Evening News. Dan Ratto reporting. Good evening. Republican presidential candidate Pat Robertson today said he believes someone may have purposely timed news of the preacher Jimmy Swaggart sex scandal to hurt his chances in the South, especially in South Carolina. He didn't say who, and he had no proof. But he did say Vice President George Bush and Bush operatives have been playing dirty politics and are planning more against him. The Bush campaign response, flat denial and calling Robertson's suspicions outrageous. This comes as all the candidates drive for the 20 Super Tuesday primaries in caucuses March 8th, with the latest contest tonight, caucuses in Minnesota, primary in South Dakota. Bob Schieffer reports the delegate count tonight may be small, but the stakes are big time.
All I wanted was a chance to succeed, to build a better
Way back in December, George Bush field tested his first television commercials in South Dakota, but made only a minimal effort in that state and in Minnesota, feeling both were practically in Bob Dole's backyard.
Maybe some candidates can ignore you, but the results are going to be known tonight, and they're going to be flashed around the country.
A Dole victory in both would be quite important and would give him some added, badly needed momentum.
But the problem for Dole in Minnesota was not George Bush. Jack Kemp campaigned hard here, but as a caucus state where what counts most is getting your supporters to the caucus, Minnesota is tailor-made for Pat Robertson.
What I was involved in this political process for, I wasn't hearing any other candidate say but Pat Robertson, so I had to switch my support from Kemp to Pat Robertson.
Fearing Robertson's strength here, some Dole supporters urged Dole not to make a major effort in Minnesota.
I wrote him a letter some time back, just simply suggesting that he de-emphasize Minnesota, because once you allow yourself to be pictured as winning the state and then falling short of that expectation, it damages your national chances.
Totally unknown is the impact of Robertson's latest charge, that the scandal involving Jimmy Swaggart was leaked to embarrass Robertson, a charge Robertson suggests could have come from Bush people.
Knowing the quality of the people surrounding George Bush, there is nothing that I would not believe that they would do Swayze.
Robertson never accused Bush directly, but Bush felt he had to respond.
It's crazy.
How are you going to...
It's an absurd charge.
However all that plays out, Republican politicians expect a big victory for Dole tonight in South Dakota. Here in Minnesota, they say anything could happen. Bob Schieffer, CBS News, Minneapolis.
Whatever the effect of Pat Robertson's suspicions about George Bush, preacher Jimmy Swaggart himself was silent today. This followed his 9-hour session yesterday with Assemblies of God leaders. And as efforts continue to look into Swaggart's past, officials indicated the future of his ministry and his money seems assured. Bruce Hall reports.
Evangelist Jimmy Swaggart has gone back into seclusion at his $2.5 million Baton Rouge estate. Meanwhile, 70 miles away along a New Orleans street lined with cheap motels and known for prostitution, there were several reports of people spotting Swaggart last year in the area.
Just like to talk to you about what happened here with Swaggart.
Investigators have been unable to verify the statements by several women who claim to have performed pornographic acts for Swaggart. At this motel, private detectives claim to have let the air out of the tires of Swaggart's car in order to keep him there long enough to get pictures. However, the Assemblies of God Church, which receives nearly a quarter of its income from the Swaggart Ministries, is being unusually lenient with a popular worldwide television evangelist.
Brother Swaggart will be required to refrain from preaching for a minimum of 3 months, except in fulfillment of present commitments involving foreign governments during that period.
I think it's surprisingly light. He can be back on television before there's a new episode of Moonlighting. I mean, summer reruns don't keep you off that long.
The weekly Jimmy Swaggart television program apparently will continue, as the ministry has a 6-month backlog of crusades and services that can be aired.
Cynically, one can say that the Assemblies of God didn't want to lose $12 million in funds that Swaggart gives to the denomination. But certainly, the show of repentance helped. I don't doubt that a moment.
I have sinned against you, my Lord.
Meanwhile, following church orders, Sunday's emotional service may be Swiggert's last public statement about his sexual misdeeds. Bruce Hall, CBS News, New Orleans.
Now, among the Democrats, today's races in South Dakota and Minnesota are a Super Tuesday testing ground for Richard Gephardt, the man who won Iowa, Michael Dukakis, the man who won New Hampshire, and Paul Simon, the man who needs to win somewhere soon. Our chief political correspondent, Bruce Morton, is covering how the Republicans run.
Political professionals here expect Richard Gephardt to win the South Dakota primary and say one major reason will be negative TV ads attacking Michael Dukakis.
Gephardt's fought to cut income taxes. Dukakis is one of the biggest tax raisers in Massachusetts history.
Dukakis has answered with last-minute radio ads.
Fact. Mike Dukakis has cut taxes in his state 5 times in the last 5 years.
And answered in person.
What I'm concerned about is making sure that the people of South Dakota know Mike Dukakis' record. And I don't want it distorted by candidacies that are either getting so desperate or so frantic that they have to engage in negative advertising.
Gephardt has other strengths here, an endorsement by the state's very popular Democratic Senator Tom Daschle, and the fact that South Dakota is a state of farms and ranches with economic troubles, so that the messages which worked in Iowa, Make America Strong, Save Family Farms, should work here. Though at one stop, Gephardt got a question about his changes of position on issues.
I believe that you always have to be ready to change the way that you're trying to get there, if that's the right thing to do.
Both men have the same basic message. The election is about change and the future. Dukakis seemed warmer here than in Iowa or New Hampshire, evoking at times the mood of John Kennedy's campaign.
That was a good time. We were looking forward, not backward. We were building a future together. And that's the kind of leadership I hope with your help I can bring to the White House.
Turnout will be important. Both sides work today to get their voters out. And both sides agree this is strictly a 2-candidate race, Gephardt and Dukakis, with none of the others even close. It's different in Minnesota. Dukakis is favored there, and Paul Simon's campaign admits he may be making his last stand. So these early tests have narrowed the field. Gephardt and Dukakis will go south with momentum, and Jesse Jackson and Albert Gore, whose strength is supposed to be in the South, will face their first real tests. Bruce Morton, CBS News, Sioux Falls.
Daycare is hot in both parties. 2 Republicans today became the latest to introduce a child care bill in Congress, one of dozens of election year daycare bills. For millions of families where both parents or the only parent must work outside the home, adequate, affordable daycare is hard to find. CBS News 60 Minutes correspondent Morley Safer is here tonight with a look at the Campaign 88 scramble to get credit for doing something about America's child care crunch. Morley, what's the story on this?
Dan, politicians are finding they must now stop talking about daycare and actually act. It could be a matter of political survival. Daycare has become that critical to the lives of millions of American voters.
God bless you.
Never mind the deficit or disarmament, here's an issue that candidates can get their hands on, and they do.
This is good stuff.
Child care and the children's issues are there to be milked by politicians. People care about it. It's an issue that is there and it's ready to be tapped.
According to Peter Hart's poll, 47% of all adults are attracted to a candidate who emphasizes children's issues.
Join with me in creating a new public-private partnership to address the crisis of daycare for the children of working parents.
Education from daycare up, not high-tech down.
The number of working women with small children has quadrupled in the last 30 years. Today, more than half of all mothers with preschool children work, and bringing up baby is an issue that slices right through ideology, color, and class.
The people who need child care are not just welfare mothers, they're not just Democrats or liberals. There are a lot of women and families in this country that are ideologically very conservative, that are having a hard time finding a place that they can place their child.
Congress should know, and of course it does look after its own. Both House and Senate have daycare centers for workers' children, and both centers have long waiting lists.
People wait for sometimes months, sometimes longer, even years, to get in the right spot where they feel comfortable.
Without the centers, one parent would have to stop working. Guess which one?
My wife would have to stay home.
Whatever its other failings, the Soviet Union does look after its children. Universal child care beginning at the age of 2 months. Many European countries have comprehensive daycare programs, and now more and more Americans are considering it a right. More than 70 child care bills introduced this year in Congress, including today's entry from, of all people, one of the Senate's leading conservatives.
In reality, too many people have to work in our society, and the children are left hanging. And you know, the children are the glue that binds society together, and they're our future, and we have to do something about that.
So hot is the topic that next week a primetime network sitcom all about the joys of daycare makes its debut.
You can be whatever you want to be. A scientist, a novelist, U.S. Senator, even president. What do you want to be, Molly?
The toilet principal.
This really is the year of the kid, and not just for kissing by candidates. Legislation will likely pass and will offer working Americans some kind of affordable daycare.
Well, more, let's talk about money. How much will this cost?
That depends. The Republican bill could cost, or a Republican bill could cost hundreds of millions. If Senator Dodd's bill passes, it could be $2.5 billion.
Expensive any way you cut it.
Anyway.
Thanks, Bonnie. President Reagan again played defense today for his longtime friend, the U.S. Attorney General Ed Meese, while Meese himself said nothing. Mr. Reagan had his spokesman issue another statement expressing, quote, full confidence in Meese after new questions about Meese's fitness, ethics, and conduct in office. The latest Meese problem is over memos made public yesterday, memos at the core of accusations that Meese was aware of plans by his own close friend and former lawyer, E. Robert Wallach, to bribe Israeli officials as part of a heavy money business deal to build an Iraqi oil pipeline. Meese has previously denied any wrongdoing. Still ahead on the CBS Evening News, Richard Roth with the story of a dying woman's allegations allegedly linking President Kennedy with the mob. Is this woman to be believed? And correspondent Deborah Potter on tax forms so complicated, even the IRS doesn't know the right answers.
Headache, pressure, and congestion. All together, the major symptoms of sinus complex. You need to feel better, but not drowsy. You need Sinutab 2, no drowsiness formula. Sinutab 2, so you feel altogether better and awake.
People have a nicer smile, a brighter day, walking short a mile. People have a better time around a better Raisin Bran.
Raisin Nut Bran tastes better. Tastes better than Kellogg's, better than Post. It's got juicy nut-covered raisins and big, crisp flakes.
People have a better time around a Raisin Nut Bran.
The best tasting Raisin Bran.
The Porsche engine in the Quaker State Indy car performs at a punishing 11,000 RPM. And the clean-running Quaker State with QSX Protector is the same oil you buy right off the shelf. The big Q stands for quality. Always has, always will.
Finally, there's an extra-strength antacid that doesn't taste chalky. Introducing extra-strength Maalox Whip. Extra-strength relief and smooth, creamy taste. New extra-strength Maalox Whip. Extra-strength whipped in, chalky taste wiped out.
Lebanon's Shiite Amal militia claimed today it has arrested 3 men who took part in the kidnapping of U.S. Marine Colonel William Higgins, but an Amal leader said they still can't find the leader of the operation and they don't know where Higgins is. Near the Israeli border in southern Lebanon today, 2 Israeli soldiers were killed when a roadside bomb blasted their tank. And in the occupied West Bank, Israelis shot and killed 2 more Palestinians. Each was 13 years old. One was a girl. The Arab death toll is now 63 in 2.5 months of violence. President Reagan made it official today. He's nominating his chief White House lobbyist with Congress, William Ball III, to be the new Navy Secretary. If confirmed by the Senate, Ball would replace James Webb. Webb resigned abruptly yesterday after attacking Defense Secretary Carlucci's leadership and budget reductions. The Los Angeles County Board of Supervisors today allocated $1.5 million to the Sheriff's Department for 75 additional deputies on anti-gang units. That move came after a weekend in which youth gang shootings left at least 5 people dead and another 5 wounded. The bloodletting was only the latest episode in the city under siege. Terry Drinkwater looks now at the battle between gangs in a war without winners.
This night, like most others in 1988, there was warfare on the streets. Young gangs fighting over drugs and money.
Approximately 10 gang members involved in possible shots fired.
Gang members are now killing each other and killing the innocent and uninvolved at a rate of more than 1 a day. And relentlessly, the warfare is spreading from the black ghettos to the white sections of Los Angeles, westward most recently. Killings have triggered demands in neighborhoods everywhere for more, a lot more police protection. But the officer in charge of the police gang unit says no amount of force can stop it. He blames parents.
Every single one of those gang members out there was a kid who didn't get any direction and didn't get any control, and no one said, stop that. You're not going to stand in a corner tonight, and how the hell can that be? That really frustrates me.
There are parents in the neighborhoods under siege who try. Bernice Barfield already had a son killed. Donald, 19 years old, a gang member. She is now attempting to raise his daughter, Donna, 2, and the rest of a very large family. They live in terror.
At night, I don't allow them to go out at all. I only have 2 little boys here and my girls, and they're not allowed to go out at least after 9 o'clock.
What would happen if they did go out?
They would probably be shot at and killed, just like my son was, and that's what we try to avoid. We stay close to home.
Roy Nunez, a plainclothes officer, knows the gang and the family well. The shooters and the victims, he says, seem younger and younger.
We try to help them, but by and large, we end up going to the funerals. We end up seeing the families cry. It's sad.
Lawmen try, but the numbers overpower them. Today's emergency funding of $1.5 million puts just 75 additional officers on the streets. Streets claimed tonight and every night by more than 50,000 gang members. Terry Drinkwater, CBS News, Los Angeles.
The U.S. Army decided what to do today about aging stockpiles of chemical weapons. Burn them inside incinerators to be built right where the weapons are stored. Army officials say they expect lawsuits over this, but insist it's safer than transporting the weapons someplace else for disposal. A federal judge today ruled Occidental Chemical responsible for the cleanup cost of upstate New York's Love Canal landfill, the case that for many Americans was the first real eye-opener about the immense dangers of toxic waste. Today's ruling said Occidental's production and storage methods resulted in toxic leakage.
I couldn't tell anybody my problem. I couldn't tell my boss, I don't feel like coming to work because I'm constipated. Some excuse. What's he going to say? Hey, take a laxative. Sure. Then get on the bus and hope that it doesn't kick in? Then one simple idea changed my life. Daily fiber therapy. Metamucil fiber therapy. See, fiber helps keep you regular, but I wasn't getting enough. Now I get plenty. And Metamucil fiber won't irritate your system like a harsh chemical laxative. Works with your body, safely, naturally. So, with Metamucil every day, I got regular and stayed regular. Now when I talk to my boss, I say, hey, how about a raise?
Metamucil, and you could stay regular for the rest of your life.
I just got dentures, but it hasn't slowed me down.
Start a bit of 45, want to hear 45, 45.
Fixodent and forget it. Fixodent helps fix loose spots for a strong hold that lasts longer than any leading cream.
True, I hear 25, want to hear 25, 25.
Use Fixodent and forget it.
If breakfast were as it was meant to be, it would be a centuries-old balance of fruits, grains, and nuts. The breakfast Europeans called muesli. Now muesli comes to America as Kellogg's Mueslix. Oats, wheat, rice, corn, barley, raisins, dates, and hazelnuts. Kellogg's Mueslix. 5 grain or bran. What breakfast was meant to be.
Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan, arguing the country faces, and I quote, formidable challenges in keeping the economic recovery alive, today urged more efforts to cut the federal deficit. Greenspan echoed his predecessor, Paul Volcker, in saying management of the economy, again, quote, cannot be negotiated by the Federal Reserve alone. His comments come as part of the central bank's semi-annual report to Congress, in which the Fed predicted sluggish economic growth, but no recession, at least none this election year. What's the story, if any, on JFK and the mob? Sensational accusations of a connection between assassinated President John F. Kennedy and a now-dead Chicago mafia chief. Accusations made by a woman who claims she loved them both. Correspondent Richard Roth reports on the tawdry, twice-told tale of Judith Exner, this time told for people's cash.
It is the dramatic account of a dying woman, a story alleging close ties almost 30 years ago between the nation's president and some of America's biggest mob bosses. But it is also a tale told for money, revising history and challenging belief. When Judith Exner 12 years ago first described a White House love affair with President Kennedy, she said he never knew of her other romance with Chicago mafia boss Sam Giancana.
My relationship with Jack Kennedy was of a close personal nature and did not involve conspiratorial shenanigans of any kind.
That, she now says, was a lie. Kennedy knew all about her mafia connection, she says today, and used her as an intermediary, the go-between for the President of the United States and the mob boss, murdered in 1975, the man called the Chicago Godfather.
I was, in a sense, a courier, and I would pass messages between Jack and Sam.
And arrange as many as 10 meetings between the two men, she claimed. But could the mob have gotten so close to the White House? Is the new claim grist for the gossip mill, or does it have a kernel of truth?
People magazine paid $100,000 for the story, half of it going to Exner, who is now dying of cancer. Did the money color truth?
There are some stories that will not be told unless they're bought. We wouldn't have published the story if we hadn't thought it was true.
But the Mafia Don's daughter says it couldn't be true.
My father had an absolute and utter contempt for the Kennedys. Why would he ever want to meet with JFK in the White House or anywhere else?
And the FBI man who shadowed Giancana for years agrees.
Secret Service would have been with him all the time, and we would have been, in the FBI, we would have been with him, with Giancana all the time. And for both the agencies to screw up at the same time is just mind-boggling. It just couldn't hardly have happened.
The only principal actor still alive from the drama almost 30 years ago is Judith Exner. And now her story's been told 2 times, 2 ways, as a sad tale of romance or a troubling one of intrigue. Richard Roth, CBS News, New York.
You've been watching me for years now. Don't you think it's time you join me on a Carnival cruise? Come on! More people are taking vacations on Carnival. Because when you take a Carnival cruise, all your shipboard funds included in one terrific price. All your nighttime entertainment's included. All your food's included too. Plus fantastic tropical ports of call. So on your next vacation, take a 3, 4, or 7-day cruise on Carnival, the most popular cruise line in the world.
Day after day, more people depend on Subaru wagons than any imported wagon in America. And with good reason. They're reliable and durable.
Hit 'em up, hit 'em up, move 'em on, hit 'em up, rawhide. Cut 'em out right.
In fact, if Subaru didn't make your life easier...
Honey, is dinner ready?
Who would? Subaru. We built our reputation by building a better car.
There are over 500,000 doctors, and they catch colds just like you. For their own achy colds, more doctors in a nationwide survey said they'd take the formula in Dristan than the formulas in these others combined. The Dristan formula, tablets or caplets.
When it's cold and rough outside, try something warm and creamy inside. Cream of wheat hot cereal and instant Mix-N-Eat. 2 smooth, delicious ways to come in from the cold.
Now some reporting about your tax dollars at work. Fresh evidence, if any is needed, that the massive federal tax overhaul actually did very little to simplify your tax paying and that the bureaucracy is bungling. For example, if you're lucky enough to get a call through to the Internal Revenue Service helpline, correspondent Deborah Potter reports there's no guarantee the IRS will help you get it right.
Good afternoon, Internal Revenue Service.
Okay, I'm sorry. At this moment, all lines to that department are busy.
Because of the new and complicated tax law, more calls than ever are coming into the IRS. But the advice that's going out may not be reliable.
Okay, you know that's the rate?
Congressional investigators told a House committee today that an alarming number of IRS answers are wrong.
The simple questions they do great with. The ones that are a little bit more refined, a little bit more complicated, you get the feeling that you'd probably be better off searching out the publications yourself.
A preliminary survey by the General Accounting Office found that about a third of the taxpayers who called the IRS for help this year got an incorrect response. But the IRS says it's not doing that badly. Its own survey found only a quarter of the answers were wrong.
We are making good progress with it. It's going to get better, but we're not where we want to be.
Getting help in person can be equally frustrating.
What is it that you need?
I'm needed some help with these taxes.
The GAO survey found that in many walk-in offices, tax forms and how-to publications are often unavailable. Congress was told that's because there's no inventory system.
We just kind of wait to see it getting low and then we order them. That is not acceptable, and we just can't accept that.
You try to relax, but you can feel its presence.
Adding insult to injury, the IRS spent $1 million on these ads to scare the same taxpayers who can't get good advice into filing early this year. The campaign is a flop. Returns so far are down by 10%.
All because you're leaving your taxes for the last minute.
Deborah Potter, CBS News, Washington.
And that's the CBS Evening News. Now, we'll report major primary and caucus results as they develop during the evening, and we'll present a wrap-up of today's voting at 11:30, 10:30 Central Time. Dan Rather, see you again soon.
Introducing the all-new Oldsmobile Cutlass Supreme. Four-wheel disc brakes, a multi-port fuel-injected V6 engine, four-wheel independent suspension, and aerodynamic styling even the wind can't resist. In short, the new Cutlass Supreme is not your father's Oldsmobile.
I get up early to capture the morning light, but sometimes my arthritis pain catches me first. I used to take aspirin or Tylenol, but today it's Advil. Advil contains a non-prescription strength of the medicine in the prescription brand Motrin. You know, just one Advil is as effective as 2 regular aspirin. That's important to me. And Advil didn't upset my stomach. It gives me hours of relief from minor arthritis pain. Advil, advanced medicine for pain.
There's never been a crisp like this. It's crispy with some raisins.
Honey-touched flakes that stay crispier in milk than any other raisin cereal. Look for the coupon in this Sunday's paper.
Oh, geez, I'm sorry, Mr. Santucci, I'm sorry. You see, they printed our company logo sort of upside down, but it's kind of cute. It looks like a little squirrel.
If you're not using PIP to handle your printing, you should know we also do resumes.
How's Mrs. Santucci?
I'm Harry Smith.
And I'm Kathleen Sullivan. On CBS this morning, Sam Giancana's daughter denied her mobster father dealt with President Kennedy.
Tomorrow, Cap Weinberger on CBS This Morning.
This is CBS.